guys, I'm being super serious about this. You have to make sure that you congratulate, what are they calling him now? Projected, presumptive, potential, perhaps president-elect? Something like that, I think. Whatever the media wants to call him nowadays. You have to make sure that you do indeed congratulate Joe Biden on his 100% legally binding media-called victory. You could join such dignitaries as like the neocon, neolib souffle, like every living president right now, or Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush, Lady Gaga. I mean, don't you want to look just as cool as she did standing beside that pickup truck in camo? Like, come on, how much cooler could you possibly be? Yeesh. Or Bezos carving out a little bit of his day when he's not too busy buying up the rest of the world. Hey, good on him, he works hard, he deserves everything that he gets. It's just a sad shame that he's a dyed-in-the-wall lib. But it's more important not who's on the list, because I could give a fuck what all these people have to say. It's more important who's not on the list. Now, you don't see people like President Xi in China, or Chairman Xi, or Winnie the Pooh, whatever you want to call him, which is odd considering all of Biden's ties. Boris Johnson, actually, he did send over a letter of approval saying, congratulations, please save me from my nightmare over here in the UK, even though Biden's not necessarily ingratiating himself to the UK right now, or really putting them high on his list of people in countries that he would like to deal with in his potential upcoming presumptive, perpetual, petulant, whatever he wants to call his next administration. But what about the big bald man in the room? You know who I'm talking about. Vladimir Putin. What does he have to say about that? Because he's too busy pulling the strings on Trump and he's gonna make sure that the nigga shut up. Enough about Russia. Well, Putin has a very, very legitimate excuse for not sending over his best wishes to old Creepy Joe. Because he has been negotiating peace. I know, weird, right? But Armenian and Azerbaijan and Russia signed Nagorno-Karabakh peace deal. I'm sure I got most of that right. Ugh. Now, this is something that is kind of sort of flown under the radar, but because of all of the atrocities that have been inflicted on the Armenian people, it's very important that this conflict does not fly under the radar, because it's one of those little powder keg situations where it could trigger a domino effect with the Middle East and kind of Eastern European states, where everything's not necessarily as rosy as the European Union would like you to believe. So this one's kind of a battle between proxy states with Russia and China and Turkey, and it's very complicated, but it's one of those things that you should be made aware of. Armenia and Azerbaijan and Russia have signed on an agreement to end military conflict over the disputed enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan called the deal incredibly painful both for me and for our people. It follows 6 weeks of fighting between Azerbaijan and ethnic Armenians. The region is internationally recognized as Azerbaijani, but has been run by ethnic Armenians since 1994. So you can see where the conflict is kind of arose from. We'll go ahead and give you a little bit of a backstory on this to begin with. So Nagorno-Karabakh, I really hope I'm sort of pronouncing that right, is part of Azerbaijan, but its population is majority Armenian, as the Soviet Union saw increasing tensions in its constituent republics in the 1980s. Nagorno-Karabakh voted to become part of Armenia, sparking a war which stopped with a ceasefire in 1994. So it's kind of like the Korean War is right now. It's just kind of at a standstill. And 6 weeks ago, it got re-escalated. So this peace deal is important, but we'll see what actually happens out of it. But we do have a couple of late-breaking developments when it comes to that. Since then, Nagorno-Karabakh, it's not hosting the Olympics anytime soon, trust me, has remained part of Azerbaijan, but is controlled by the separatist ethnic Armenians backed by the Armenian government. Until recently, negotiations mediated by international powers had failed to deliver a peace agreement. Armenia is a majority Christian, while Azerbaijan is majority Muslim. You can see where the tensions arise. Turkey has close ties with Azerbaijan, while Russia is allied with Armenia, although it also has good relations with Azerbaijan. A lot of confusing names there, because Russia still has a lot of control in what happens in the Middle East, so they're kind of the big boys over there. And then you got fucking Erdogan being all goofy and shit, wanting to release migrants into the western half of Europe. And boy, I was happy to hear about all these peace deals that were coming out in the Middle East when President Trump was in charge. So hopefully we can still see some kind of a peace deal happening there, because things get funky in the Middle East and they eventually spill over to the rest of the world. That's why stuff like this is kind of important. The Caucasus is strategically important mountainous region in the southeast of Europe. For centuries, different powers in the region, both Christian and Muslim, have vied for control there. Modern-day Armenia and Azerbaijan become part of the Soviet Union when it was formed in 1920s. Nagorno-Karabakh was an ethnic majority Armenian region, but the Soviets gave control of the area to Azerbaijani authorities. So as you can see here, yeah, we got Armenia, Azerbaijan, and then that's the area that they are fighting over in the middle there. So, like the UN kind of likes to do, they don't like to recognize the fact that Israel is a country, but they will go ahead and allow Azerbaijan to have the Nagorno-Karabakh region because reasons. And you can see why any kind of conflict, armed conflict there is very important, because you got Russia up there, you got Turkey over there, and then you got crazy ass fucking Iran right there. So anything starts to spill over onto those borders, it affects Russia, and then it'll affect Turkey. And Iran, we all know that they are just waiting for any opportunity to just fucking spark a war, and then, you know, China's gonna run in, or Palestine, and it just gets fucking out of hand real quickly. So this ceasefire, regardless of how painful it is very important. So we'll go back to the main story here. So what has been agreed upon? The peace deal, which was signed by Russian President Vladimir Putin, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, and Armenian Prime Minister, took effect on Tuesday at 1 p.m. local or 1 a.m. local time. Sorry, they're using a 24-hour clock. Under the deal, Azerbaijan will hold onto the area of Nagorno-Karabakh that it had taken during the conflict. Armenia has also agreed to withdraw from several of adjacent areas over the next few weeks. So it's like breaking up with your girlfriend, but you're just kind of moving out one box at a time while not doing anything with another box in the meantime. Get what I'm throwing down? The BBC's Orlo Guerin in Baku says that overall the deal should read as a victory for Azerbaijan and a defeat for Armenia. During the televised online address, President Putin said that Russian peacekeepers would be deployed to patrol the front line, creating a de facto DMZ. Russian Defense Ministry confirmed that 1,960 personnel would be involved, and reports said planes had left an airbase in Yelanovsk. Sure. These names are fun. Why can't they just have normal names? I guess they're normal for the region. I don't want Joe Biden to call me xenophobic now. You know, I'd love to know if he actually knows what that means. Carrying peacekeepers and armored personnel carriers to Karabakh. Part of their role will be to guard the Lashin corridor, which links the Karabakh capital, Stefankert, to Armenia. So that would be somewhere along there, I do believe. Turkey will also take part in peacekeeping process in oxymoron of the week, according to Azerbaijan president, who joined President Putin during the address. No, okay, anytime that there's a peace deal, whatever this is, ceasefire deal, that is normally a good thing. But as it said there, yeah, it was kind of seen as a defeat for the Armenians, and yeah, they didn't take it so well. Protesters storm Armenian Parliament hours after peace deal was signed. It was a fucking disaster situation. So as you can see there, just in this picture, and there's a couple of videos out there where they just storm Parliament, and it's a fucking shit show. Hundreds of protesters stormed the Armenian Parliament and later attacked the Speaker of the House after a ceasefire agreement was signed between Armenia, Russia, and Azerbaijan. The peace deal was signed after Azerbaijan made several key gains in the fight for control over Nagorno-Karabakh, a territory technically in Azerbaijan, but controlled by ethnic Armenians. So it's like having a fight with your landlord, and it's like, I want to hang up that picture, and he's like, no, fuck you. It's like, I live here, I'm going to hang up the picture, and they're like, no. And then they get the builder to come down, and then they tell you to super fuck you, and then you're not allowed to hang your picture. That sucks. Simplifying a armed conflict with hanging a picture, that's a fucking all-timer. The deal will end 6 weeks of fighting that has devastated the region. By a conservative count, 1,400 people, both civilian and military, have died since the fighting began. However, Russia estimated the number was closer to 5,000. But we can't really trust Russian counting with death tolls, because it's somewhere between, 10 and 50 million people were killed under communist rule. So take it with a grain of salt. and lots of sand. The agreement will also result in a surrender of the part of Nagorno-Karabakh to Azerbaijan and the deployment of 1,960 Russian military personnel and armored personnel carriers to the region as peacekeepers. On October 7th, authorities of Nagorno-Karabakh put that number at 140,000 displaced people to their original homes. So it's kind of goofy, and the most goofy part is right here at the bottom. So when they stormed Parliament there, they were looking for the Prime Minister, the guy who said that, yeah, this was kind of a defeat for us, and they were looking for him. And right now, Pashinyan, the Prime Minister of Armenia, is in hiding. Yeah, so that spells bad shit for Armenia in the short term, and potentially for the long term, because the opposition leader was yelling for him to step down after this because it was seen as a humiliating defeat that could lead to future struggles and problems with Armenia in general. So this guy was very, very ardent in his wanting to engage in armed conflict with Azerbaijan, and this is definitely a lot of egg on his face because he was very vocal in the fact that he would die alongside his military in this conflict because the area of Nagorno-Karabakh is very important, and the fact that he made such impassioned pleas and was very fast and loose with the truth when it came to this conflict in general is not a good sign. I'm not going to say it's going to immediately lead to escalations in conflict because Russia's a pretty decent peacekeeper, and you know what? They want to keep the peace between Turkey and Iran, and they don't really want to fucking spark anything, especially with the U.S. being so catastrophically in an upheaval right now. But if China or Palestine decide that they're going to be moving in here in the next 6 weeks during the ceasefire, it could be a tipping point. So I want you guys to pay attention to what's going on over there. And today's a fairly international affair, so I just thought that this definitely needs to be addressed, because don't be surprised if this gets lumped in with the fact that China was moving warships into India's territory and Palestine was making moves as well. So this could just be another one of those setup moves to potentially something happening. So with the potential of an incoming war hawk with the neolibs and Biden and the communists that prop him up as well, it's not looking great. Be aware of what's happening. And I'll be covering this stuff as well because, like I said, it's important to know the world that's going on around you. You can't just be focused all on the Democrats trying to steal the election, I suppose. But I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.